Hello, everyone. Welcome to NoDQ Live here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. We have WWE Extreme Rules this Sunday night. And all I can say is I am not looking forward to this show. Excuse me, still battling a cold here. Hopefully this will not be a long 30 to 40 minutes, but I'm going to try and get through this to the best of my ability. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, has this week of WWE been tearing you up, Aaron? No, but it's been tearing me up, I'll say that much. I feel like crying because this Smackdown Live was one of the weaker Smackdown Lives as far as 2018 goes. Oh man. Excuse me. Oh, this show is making me cry already. Smackdown Live. NSYNC. We had an NSYNC reference on this show. So let's go ahead and break it down. We had Miz TV, The Miz, who is not going to be at Extreme Rules because he has a prior commitment. We had Daniel Bryan and Kane come out, and we had a random appearance by Sanity. So apparently Sanity is going to just be randomly attacking people because that's what they do. They're wreaking havoc on SmackDown Live, apparently. We had the Bludgeon Brothers come out. Sanity came out. There was a beatdown on Kane and Daniel Bryan. And guess who makes the save? The New Day, of course. And sure enough, it was announced when we came back from commercial that we would have a 10-man tag team match, a Teddy Long special for the main event of SmackDown Live. Whoop-de-freaking-do. I had to bust out the Teddy Long dancing gif, or gif, whatever it's called, for this match. Dylan Folk says the new stale. Pretty much, but you could say that about everybody on SmackDown Live. I think the big question that people are wondering right now is, did I think this show was worse than Monday Night Raw? I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to wait till later on for me to give my letter grade for SmackDown Live. Remember, I gave Raw a big fat D. And by the way, Raw, I'm just saying, did its all-time lowest viewership in the history of the show. And one of the lowest ratings in the history of the show. Curtis Butler says 10-man tag, New Japan style. SmackDown, well, Kurapika 07, I'm not going to spoil it. I'll save that thought for later on, give you my thoughts on that. So yeah, I'm giving you guys a little bit of a cliffhanger here, so stay tuned. Santos says, really liked this SmackDown. Well, that makes one of us. All right, so we had AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, a WrestleMania rematch, as they build it, which of course was a rematch of a rematch of a rematch of a rematch, but whatever. We had Rusev come out with Aiden English. Now, is it just me, or does Aiden English have better hair now? Did he use the Chavo Guerrero hair transplant treatment? I'm not sure if I was just seeing things or not, but it looked like Aiden English had a fuller head of hair. Maybe somebody else noticed it. Who knows? Gabriel says, no bar. Head over to NoDQ.com. You can find out what's going on with the bar right now as to why they're not on SmackDown Live. Travis W. says he used Rogaine. See, that's what I thought. I thought Aiden English must be using some sort of hair treatment because it looks like he had a fuller head of hair than usual. But then again, maybe it was just me. Mike B with a $5 super chat donation. He says, Got the No DQ shirt in the mail the other day. I'm going to wear it on Monday when I go to Raw in Buffalo. Hope you feel better soon, bro. Thank you for that, Mike B. I'm hopefully going to be kicking this cold in the next day or so. Doing these videos, I'm sure, isn't helping matters, but the show must go on. Unless I'm in a hospital or on my deathbed, I will be doing No DQ Live because that's how I roll. David says filler show. Yeah, pretty much. This was a filler show. This was a SmackDown where if you missed it, you really did not miss much. Now, anyways, back to AJ Styles versus Nakamura. We had, of course, the very utterly predictable interference with Aiden English accidentally getting the Kinshasa by Nakamura. Nakamura was aiming for AJ Styles on the outside. AJ moved, and Aiden English took the blow. Not the drugs. He took the Kinshasa. We had Rusev all angry about this, and he blamed it on AJ Styles. So because AJ Styles moved, his buddy got laid out with the Kinshasa. This led to Rusev interfering. The match was thrown out. And then we had Paige come out, and she announced, you guessed it, a tag team match. This was going to be a tag team match. Jeff Hardy came out, and it was AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy against Nakamura and Rusev. So not one, but two tag team matches made on this show from previous matches and angles. Like I said, total filler show. You know it's bad when you're getting two segments turned into tag team matches and not just one. So maybe for Teddy Long, this was the greatest SmackDown Live of all time. But anyways, Rusev and Nakamura won the tag team match. Rusev, I believe, pinned Jeff Hardy. Whatever. I guess it makes sense since Rusev is the #1 contender after all. So if you're going to protect somebody, protect the #1 contender. Or maybe just not book a match like this where you just throw the participants in singles matches together into a tag team match. You don't have to do that. It's not mandatory. It's not something that necessarily has to be done. But WWE likes to do it because they just like to, they like their booking pattern, and this is how they do things. But to me, it's boring. I'm not a fan of it, personally. I'm just tired of it. When it was done in 1998, like when Steve Austin and Undertaker had to team together, that was fine. Or when you'd have, I'm trying to think of an example, like Steve Austin and Mick Foley against The Rock and Big Show or something like that. Back then, it wasn't done all the time. Now it's been done to death, and we need things to be changed up because it's really redundant, and I'd like to see something different. Kayfabe Candy Ass says they find something that worked once and beat it to death. Pretty much. And speaking of things that are done to death, how about this? How about a shark cage concept for Extreme Rules? This is Extreme Rules, damn it. And we gotta go to the extreme by having a shark cage match. So here's what happened. We had James Ellsworth versus Asuka in a lumberjack match with the women out there. Becky Lynch and Naomi were playing the faces, trying to enforce the rules of the match, but then the heels were getting involved, and there's a huge fight, and Ellsworth tried to escape, but was unsuccessful. Then we had Carmella give James Ellsworth some kind of spray. I'm not sure if it was perfume or some sort of Febreze. Here we go with the Febreze again. I know it wasn't Febreze, it was a smaller can. It might have been some sort of body mist or something. I'm not sure. Pepper spray. Who knows what it was? Some kind of spray, but Ellsworth was unsuccessful in using it. Mike B. Charlotte had surgery to repair a ruptured breast implant. So that is why she's not on television right now. James Folk just made a very non-PG comment in the chat room, which Ken, terminated by Google, says Dylan Folk with the savage comment of the night, although I'm not going to read it. But anyways, back to the match. We had Ellsworth unsuccessful. Asuka tapped him out. At least Ellsworth tapped out right away. And then after the match, Carmella interfered, and then Asuka ended up being sprayed with whatever that spray was. And that was the segment. So as punishment for what happened here, Paige announced that at the pay-per-view, James Ellsworth will be in a shark cage. Yeah. I'm almost speechless. I remember the match with Enzo in the shark cage, and that sucked. So now they're doing this. Cindy says this is going to be Big Show versus Big Cass all over again, and Asuka is officially going to be buried if she loses at Extreme Rules. Virtue says he's out this week due to a ruptured breast implant too. So there you go, a little bit of breaking news here. Why Virtue is not doing videos. He's actually not going to be part of our predictions video, but we got a full panel lined up, and I think you guys will still enjoy the video. Maybe you'll like it more. We'll have to see if the like to dislike ratio is better without Virtue. I know some people out there are campaigning to get rid of Virtue. Hashtag fire Virtue, so we'll see if that pans out. Moving on here, we had a backstage segment with New Day and Kane, Daniel Bryan. I thought this was terrible. I know some of you thought it was funny, but it was this forced, overly scripted humor. It just did not come off authentic to me at all. It felt like middle school kids doing a play. The acting wasn't good. The dialogue was weak. The delivery was weak. It just wasn't good. And people say, oh, it's pro wrestling. You got to just lighten up and enjoy it. But I like when segments are organic and people are being creative, not when it's shoved down your throats, force-fed humor, which is what this was. To me, it didn't have a natural flow to it. Again, it's my opinion. I know some of you were laughing hysterically at it, but we all have different tastes. I love Sacha Baron Cohen, and uptight women on Twitter don't. And I called some of them out, and they weren't too happy about it. But enough of that. Let's stick to wrestling here. I wasn't a fan of the segment personally, but I know some of you liked it, so I'll just move on here. All right, so now is the point where I'm trying to remember what else happened on this show. I know we had the 10-man tag team match, which I guess I'll talk about right now, and then maybe go back to some of the other segments as I remember them. Oh, Sin Cara versus Andrade Cien Almas. Finally, they do it. It's like 3 weeks late. They should have done it 3 weeks ago when they had actually done the angle to set up the match. I guess better late than never, right? Fine match for what it was. Almas did the double foot stomp to the outside, which was scary looking, and then one with the double knees to the corner. This was fine. No problem with it. Ooh, Kayfabe Candy asks, and I might have a little conflict here. Maybe I have a bone to pick with KCA. Ugh, Sacha Baron Cohen is the James Ellsworth of comedy. I respectfully disagree with that. Sacha Baron Cohen, in my opinion, is one of the best comedians of the 21st century. Borat, Ali G, Bruno, great material there. The guy is hilarious, and I think he sends a positive message for people that actually understand the humor. Sacha is the freaking man. Love Sacha. I was a huge Ali G, Borat, Bruno fan before that movie came out, way back, going to like 2002, 2003. But that's enough of that. I know some of you have mixed feelings about him, but I think he's one of the all-time great comedians of our era, of any era for that matter. I even liked The Dictator. All right, back to SmackDown Live. Was Samoa Joe on the show? No, he was not. No Joe. No Ty Dillinger, but who cares about Ty Dillinger? I'm sure some of you do. You know what's funny? At the New Japan show, there were like 2 or 3 guys that kept trying to do the 10 chants. But of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling is serious business, so they were not doing the 10 chants at all. But there were like 3 or 4 fans trying to do the 10 chants. I thought that was amusing. Ellsworth Fear's heel wife. Is that the Grimm's Toy Show character? I'm not hip with that stuff, so I barely recognize the name. Ryan says the Bruno scene with the cage fight is epic. Indeed it is. And to me, Sacha Baron Cohen, I hate that I'm going back to him again, but the way he control people and just get under people's skin is why I love him so much. If you can piss the world off, then I'm a fan of yours. Then again, Donald Trump pisses the world off, and I have mixed feelings about that guy. But as far as comedians go, I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen, that guy could get a rise out of just about anybody. He is like one of the all-time great trolls. He was a troll before trolling was cool. I am not going to attempt to pronounce your name, Mr. Singh, if that's how your last name is pronounced. I might have botched your last name. I'm not even going to try it. All right, so let's talk about the main event of SmackDown Live, which I thought was all right. It was fine. It was a match. Andre Ward with the $2 Super Chat donation. SmackDown was so much better than Raw. Was it? Let's finish this review. I thought the 10-man tag team match was fine, but again, filler. Didn't really do anything to get me excited for the pay-per-view. Daniel Bryan defeated Eric Young to win the match for his team. So Team Hell No looking very strong heading into the pay-per-view. Eric Young and Sanity lose again, and they're on the kickoff match. So yeah, not looking too good for Sanity right now. They seem to be going nowhere fast, as Mo Howard might say. At the very end, though, we had a nice little ending. So we had Daniel Bryan and Kane celebrating, and then Daniel Bryan went to do Kane's pyro gesture, where he goes boom, and the pyro goes off. But of course, no pyro. So then Bryan tries again. Second time, nothing happens. Then finally, he gets the crowd all worked up. He builds up the anticipation, and then he finally does it. And guess what? The pyro went off. We actually had pyro on SmackDown. I cannot give this show as bad of a grade as Raw just because of the pyro. I don't know, Cindy. She asks, does this mean the pyro will be back? I sense this was just a one-off thing for comedy, for entertainment. But even so, I was happy for at least one night of the fire pyro being back. So on that note, I cannot give this show the big D like I did for Raw. Was it a good show? I would say no. Was it an average show? I think it was a little below average. So I'm going to go with a C-. If it wasn't for the pyro, I would have given this show a D+. But the pyro bumps it up to a C-. And it's my video, my review. I can do what I want here. So pyro gives it that extra little bump. And SmackDown Live avoids getting the big D this week. So C+ for SmackDown Live. Now, I sense I'm missing something from this show. I feel like there's a segment I have not talked about. So again, if I'm missing something, let me know in the chat room so I can update people and give my thoughts on it. Update my review, because I just said everything I believe happened on the show, but I could be wrong. I could be missing something. Apparently that was it. Was that really it? Man, did this show drag? I mean, it was 2 hours, but it really felt like 3 this week for me. Maybe just because I'm still battling a cold, and maybe I'm just easily irritated more than usual with SmackDown. Sanity cut a promo, whatever. I wasn't really paying attention to it, so no real comment on it. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, excitement for Extreme Rules on a scale of 1 to 10. 3. AJ Rusev, I guess I'm looking forward to. Rollins and Ziggler, I'm sure will be a good match, but I feel like the stipulations are hurting the show more than helping them. And that should not be the case. Tim Lee says, what's up with Nikki Cross? Well, she was at a SmackDown house show on Monday, but obviously she has not debuted on the main roster yet. I could see it happening. I could see her joining Sanity. I think she should, although with the way things are going right now with Sanity, maybe that would drag her down. But then again, maybe it could give Sanity a little bit of a boost and get them some momentum. So it could go either way. Braden says, why a table match on the kickoff and not the main show? That's a great question. I think the kickoff match should be Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt against the B Team, personally. Just because I think that match isn't really pay-per-view quality. And I think Sanity should be on the main card and not the B Team. But, whatever. I mean, I'm not really looking forward to either match. Most of these matches, I feel, have little to no momentum. And most likely, we are going to have the main event be Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns. That should be fun, right? Stinky Toffee 12 says, I like your shirt. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Can't go wrong with a little bit of Breaking Bad mixed with The Simpsons, of course. Eddie Smith is here. How's it going, Eddie? Just logged on. Sorry I'm late. Not a problem, my friend. Better late than never, as the saying goes. Paul Jackson, 1988, says, who cares about WWE 2K19? I haven't played since the SmackDown vs. Raw days. I agree with you, Paul. And apparently, the new game is not going to be available on the Switch, but I wasn't planning to buy it anyway, so no loss there. Jeremiah Dorset says, Aaron, every match should be contested under the Extreme Rules concept. I like the variety, but I think if you're going to do a themed pay-per-view called Extreme Rules, then every match should have a stipulation, and they should be good stipulations, not crap stipulations. Quite frankly, I don't think there should be Extreme Rules, period. I'm not a fan of the themed pay-per-views. I don't like the mandatory stipulations. I'd rather you come up with a stipulation because there's a good storyline reason behind it. Not just, oh, we have a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules, so we have to have stipulation matches. Or we have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, so we have to have a Hell in a Cell match. I'd rather there be an actual storyline reason for doing one of these types of matches. Todrick says, aren't you a little curious about the game? No, not at all, because it's most likely just going to be the same exact game as the previous ones, just slightly changed up a little bit with a few extra characters. Maybe the storyline mode is a little different, but it's basically the same game. They just, it's like a car. Every year there's a new model of a car. They change it up ever so slightly, and people buy it. It is what it is. Roberto, Saul is great. I love the show, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next season. It is slower paced than Breaking Bad, but I feel like it's worth the investment, and I definitely recommend it. Yeah, I really don't care about the Raw versus SmackDown games or the 2K games. I miss No Mercy, but I sound like a broken record at this point. Turbonius, what do you play on your Switch? Um, Sad to say, I only own like 2 games. Mario Party 8 Deluxe and Super Mario Galaxy, I think, are the only 2 games I have so far. I will likely get the Smash Brothers game when it comes out, but yeah, I spent 300 something dollars on a console and I bought 2 games. So, whatever. Daniel says, is Samoa Joe going to be at Extreme Rules? I don't see the point in him being there. My guess is he will be on SmackDown next week to hopefully start a big angle for SummerSlam. One would hope so, at least. I'm assuming Joe has not been on SmackDown because he wasn't factored into the pay-per-view. So hopefully he is back on SmackDown this week and they do something with him. Sam Atwood with the $2 Super Chat donation. Pyro tonight? Is the Ruthless Aggression era back? So nice little joke there from Sam Atwood. Pyro is really from the Attitude Era on, not just the Ruthless Aggression era. WWE started doing the Pyro, I believe, in '95 with the fireworks on Raw. WCW would do the fireworks a lot going back to the late 80s, and then I think WWE started doing the fireworks in '95, and then Sid would have his pyro with the letters spelled out. Warrior had a similar type of pyro, and then of course DX. So yeah, by the late '90s, pyro was a regular thing in WWE. So it wasn't really. I'm not sure I would associate it specifically with the Ruthless Aggression era. And keep in mind, we had pyro just up until a couple of years ago. So even in the PG era, we had the pyro. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, I hope the Ruthless Aggression era stays dead. I don't need Triple H burying everyone again. Ouch. All right, that will be officially the Savage line of the night from Mr. KCA. All right, guys, so I will go ahead and wrap up this edition of NoDQ Live. Thank you all so much for watching, and I apologize if I sound a little off or sounded a little off on this video. Still battling a cold from the past few days. Hopefully I'll be feeling better by the weekend when I'll be doing NoDQ Live. Right now the plan is for Saturday to do a special video, and then Sunday, time for more.